Now let's move on to college football. Jim the Bag, I have been pretty much kicking ass in college football, and I added on another winner last night with Louisiana Lafayette that closed at 14.5. I gave it when it was at 13.5, and wasn't necessarily the easiest of winners, but I thought it was definitely a side with value, and I cashed on that one. Now my official record in the picks that I've given publicly here at SBR, 47-34, average line minus 110, up 10 units, and that's a plus 9% ROI. And this week I got a whole bunch of plays going. First, let me start off with 3 plays that I added on with my Joe Gavassi videos. You know, anytime I give a pick in a video, I add it to my record. And I did a bunch of videos with Joe Gavassi yesterday, and I added 3 more onto my official slate of games this week. I did add Florida State at -7, -110. Gavassi agreed with that. Florida State has got to be in a salty mood. And Duke, you know, they got beat down by Miami, Florida recently. Florida State did almost win that game against Miami. And I got to think that if ever there's a spot where Florida State gets together and gets a comfortable win, they're only given 7 points, that this is it. So I took Florida State -7. Then in the Texas A&M Florida, very interestingly, I went dead on head-to-head with Joe Gavassi. I like Texas A&M. I liked them from the opening line, and it's gotten bet down a bit. So for my official pick, I had to give +3 -130. But Joe Gavassi likes Florida, so you can watch that video to find out why. Well, one of his big reasons, of course, was that Texas A&M classically collapses in October in the second half of seasons, especially after the Alabama game, which they are coming off of. My sense that this season might be a little bit different. Texas A&M does have some life to them, and it's as much of a fate of Florida as anything else. Florida's just looking like they have serious issues on offense, defense, all over the place. So I took a shot with Texas A&M +3 -130. I bet it earlier in the week, but Joe Gavassi like -2.5, and I also threw on the under in that one, which at the time was 52.5 -123. Florida again, you know, nothing on offense. Texas A&M pretty impressive defensively, so I took a shot with the under. So I added those 3. And I have a couple more that I'm going to add right now. And of course, don't forget tomorrow at 11 a.m. I do the Eastern time. I do the show with Big Man on Campus, where we review the entire card and finalize our picks. I'm just going to quickly go over all the picks that I've given this week, Jim. Just a quick rundown. And again, these are all picks that some of the lines have moved significantly. These are lines that I gave that were available when I made the picks. So those are lines. Some of them have moved. Mississippi State -22. That's now up to 23.5 or 24. UCLA +1.5. That's now down to a -1. But Joe Gavassi, for whatever reason, likes Arizona. You can watch that video. We're going head-to-head against him. Rutgers, Illinois, under 48. UConn Temple, under 61.5. Both of those have moved significantly in my favor. UNLV Air Force, under 67.5. Ole Miss, -3. Akron, +14.5. Bowling Green, +9.5. San Jose State, Hawaii, under 64.5. Washington, Arizona State, under 62. That's moved significantly in my favor. Wyoming, Utah State, over 48.5. That's moved significantly in my favor. Houston, Tulsa, under 64. Toledo, Central Michigan, under 61. That's moved significantly in my favor. And, of course, yesterday I also added on Northern Illinois at -5. So let's get to 2 other plays that I'm going to add on to my official card here. Jim the Bag. First game is the Tennessee game. Now, this is an interesting one. They're playing South Carolina, right? Now, early in the week, I said that I was definitely leaning Tennessee at -2.5, but that I had to that I wanted to wait and look into it a little bit more as far as giving an official pick is concerned. It's now moved up to 3 or 3.5, but I'm gonna hold off on that one because Tennessee really is a team that comes with a lot of question marks. I still like them. I did bet it at I think I got 2.5 early in the week, so I still like it. And there's a slight chance that I might give it tomorrow on the Saturday show, but I'm not going to give it right now. What I am going to give though is the under at 47 and 48. The Greek has 48, so I'll give the under. South Carolina, Tennessee 48 -110. Tennessee again, you know, questions on offense, and South Carolina, as we know, when they lost Debo Samuel, took a major hit offensively, strong defensively. So I'm going to take the under on that one, 48 -110. I'm adding that one on. And the next one I'm adding on, which was another pick that I suggested that I was going to be giving, that I was leaning towards, that I was going to wait on, and I was expecting the line to move up, which it did, is Kansas. Kansas, of course, going up against Iowa State. Iowa State coming off of a huge win against Oklahoma. I don't know if you know about this, but Iowa State beat Oklahoma last week. You know how much of an underdog they were, Jim?
Much.
30-point underdog, and they won outright. They won outright. You know, people were expecting a 60-1 domination by Oklahoma, and that didn't happen. So now, and Iowa State's a great team for who they are, but They're not that good, and there's a little bit of a letdown here. I think Kansas should be primed, and I was worried about. I thought the line was going to get bet up, but I did take the opener at 20.5 on my personal accounts. Now it's up to 22.5 or 23, and I will add Kansas at plus 23 minus 110 at a bunch of places. So those are two plays that I'm definitely adding: Kansas plus 23 minus 110, and the under in South Carolina and Tennessee. And again, tomorrow I'll probably be adding a whole bunch more plays when I finish up my deep research in the game in the call at 11 a.m. with Big Man on Campus. So now let's get to the two games tonight. Two huge games, right? Clemson and Syracuse. Clemson, obviously an awesome team. Although in their two out of their last three games, they won comfortably but didn't cover. And I faded them. I had the under in the Wake Forest game, which cashed, and I think I had the under in the BC game as well. I don't quite remember, but Clemson clearly a little bit too big of a favorite recently, although still getting margin wins. Syracuse, obviously a flawed team, obviously with significantly worse talent on the field, getting a ton of points here in what has to be at least a little bit of a letdown spot for Clemson. I do have a lead on this game. I don't know if I'm going to give it, but Jim, do you want to comment on this game? Look at it.
The Carrier Dome will be rocking, which it was always a fun place to play. But man, Clemson looks so good. I'm hoping we get to see Hunter Johnson in the game tonight. I want to watch him play. He looked pretty good in those final three series versus Wake.
Yeah.
5 for 5, 42 yards in the TD. Tigers won 12 straight road games. And man, what an offense. 237 yards a game rushing, 233 yards passing. I mean, does it get better than that? Top 10 in scoring defense, total defense, sacks, fewest yards allowed per play. But in saying all that, I think that Syracuse, if I was going to lean, I would lean towards the Syracuse cover. That dome is going to be wild. And as we've seen, we've seen Troy fall apart at home. So the volatility is so nuts in college football. But I think that Syracuse is going to be ready to play. They played close games lately, very, very tight games. Went into LSU, played tight. What is the best spread you could get for Syracuse? 23
or 23.5, and I would be leaning Syracuse as well. Now, I'll talk about that in a second. Let's just quickly get to a couple of comments that people were asking about here. Tomer says, I will not bet Tennessee with Butch Jones. He's a moron. Yeah, I mean, I think if ever there's a spot where Tennessee might be a good bet to get a cover, it's this game. But again, I'm not going to give them as an official pick. And then here we go. Someone else talking about Kansas. Jason Foster says, Kansas should be primed. Did you see them last week against Texas Tech? Completely inept. Yes, they're not a good team. I do think they're a bit better than. I mean, they're obviously going to have to figure something out offensively. I'm assuming a bit of a step up offensively. They were supposed to be better defensively this year, and I think they actually might be a bit better defensively in this game. Yes, obviously my play on Kansas here is predicated on an assumption, purely based on blind faith, that they're going to make some kind of an improvement offensively. And if that doesn't happen, they probably don't cover. But it's a lot of points, and I think they do have the tools offensively to be at least a reasonable shot at making an improvement offensively here. So yes, they got blown out last week. It was bad. But I'm willing to take a shot with them this week. I might be wrong. And again, I can almost guarantee you that I'm going to be wrong at least 40% of the time going forward. So there. All right. So yes, Jim, I am definitely leaning Syracuse with you. I don't know if I didn't bet this one yet. I'd be leaning Syracuse, leaning under, a smaller lean to the under, and leaning Syracuse. The only issue is that I would be leaning Syracuse more if Bryant starts at quarterback, because he does have an ankle injury. Like you said, if that freshman, who's 5-star recruit who looked awesome last week, actually does come in and play most of the game, then I'd be liking Syracuse a lot less, because I think that guy has legit 5-star talent and might lead Syracuse. Might lead Clemson to an explosive win here. I'm just hoping that doesn't happen. My lean to be Syracuse. I guess I'll stay off it, but it's a pretty strong lean Syracuse.
I think you're absolutely right. If Bryant is playing, I'd be more confident in the Syracuse line. If Hunter Johnson's playing, he's got so much to prove, and he will try to run up the score. So I think that's a really good point.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to. I guess I will hold off on that one as an official pick for now. I won't give it Syracuse plus 23.5. If I had given only 1 or 2 picks this week, then probably I would throw it on. But since I've got 19 or whatever so far, I will hold off on that one. And then we have Washington State, California, another interesting game. Obviously, California looking terrible here. Washington State, a very impressive team, impressive defensively, which is a new thing for them. But again, you got a massive home dog here on a Friday night home game, plus 16.5. I'd probably be leaning Cal, except I don't have a good, statistically, they are not a good bet here. Statistically, Washington State should get the cover. But my gut would say lean Cal just because, it feels like a spot where a team might make a bit of an unexpected turn statistically as far as Cal's concerned. But yeah, they have nothing offensively. Defensively, they have a weak secondary. Washington State's going to probably pass all over them. So this game is another one that I'm going to pass on, but I would be leaning California getting 16.5. It's a very lukewarm lean, and I definitely won't be betting that one. Jim, you have anything about that one?
If I was going to lean in a direction, I would lean towards Washington State. Cal has just completely fallen apart,
Yes.
and I imagine their dressing room would be like a library. They threw for 80 yards last week, and the offense didn't register a point. They've been sacked 17 times in the last 3 games. Luke Falk is just going to have a field day. He's making a run for the Heisman. These are just 2 teams moving in completely different directions. Now, we've seen these teams struggling, getting a chance to play at home in front of their home crowd in a hugely televised game step up. I don't think that's going to happen. I would lean towards Washington State, but I'm not going to make an official pick. But if you had leaned toward Washington State, I would have made it an official pick.
Yeah,
I just needed that little bit of push in the direction. But if you're not,
I'd definitely be leaning Cal, and I think probably one of either Syracuse or Cal covers, and it's much more likely that both of them cover than that neither of them cover. So I'd be leaning both home dogs. If I had to put both of them on my official record, I'd be fine with that. But I'm going to hold off from now. I'll chill out a little bit. I got 18 or 19 picks already so far in the week. I'm probably going to be adding at least 6 or 7 or 10 more tomorrow in the show with Big Man at 11 o'clock Eastern time. So I'll hold off on that for now, but definitely leaning both home dogs here, Syracuse and Cal. Could see both of them easily getting steamrolled, but I would be leaning both home dogs, and that's that's our take on the college football card.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.